In-depth journalism in the Memphis community, the Daily Memphian is of Memphis, not just in Memphis, and seeks to tell the stories of this city. TheDailyMemphian.com. Truth in place.
I'm Bill Dries, reporter for the Daily Memphian. Our guests are Shelby County Administrator of Elections Linda Phillips and Ian Randolph of the Shelby County Voter Alliance. This is On the Record. We record this Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, which is the last day to register to vote the August 4th ballot if you are not already registered to vote. This would be the ballot that includes Shelby County general elections, state and federal primaries, nonpartisan races for trial court judges, nonpartisan Memphis Shelby County Schools Board seats also on this ballot, along with Arlington municipal elections. And for Memphis voters, the ballot question that would extend term limits for the Memphis mayor and Memphis City Council from the current 2 consecutive terms to 3 consecutive terms. Early voting just around the corner, running from July 15th to July 30th. So early voting begins in a mere 10 days. With that backdrop, Linda, what is your advice to voters who either aren't aware of the big ballot or may have forgotten that it's that 8-year cycle again?
Well, it's a very long ballot, so I'd recommend that voters go to our website and look at the sample ballot and just make sure you know who you want to vote for, because there's an awful lot on this ballot.
Mm-hmm. Do you expect lines because of the length of time it will take people to get their way through all of the races on there?
Well, I don't think so. In general, this is not a huge turnout election, but we're putting lots of equipment out there, and we have spares in case we see places where lines are developing. We can add additional equipment.
Mm-hmm. Now, we should point out the whole map of precincts and polling places has changed since the last election year in 2020. And those new election day polling places for many voters debuted in the May county primaries. That's the first redrawing of the countywide precinct lines in about 20 years. Ian, the Memphis branch NAACP and groups it is working with are advising citizens to vote early or absentee because of that, if they qualify for absentee, instead of on election day. What does the Alliance have planned on this front to deal with these complications?
Well, yes, we are encouraging everyone to go out and vote early, because if you vote early, you can vote at any early voting location. So that would save you the time and the hassle if your precinct or voting location has changed. Also, we are partnering with, I'm proud to say, the Shelby County Election Commission on July 16th, which is a Saturday, for Voter Ready Expo. During this expo, voters can vote early. They can test out the new voting machines, which we hope will be used in the November election. They can register to vote if they haven't done so already. And they can find out what precinct they're supposed to vote on election day going forward. Okay. So those are some of the things that we have coming up.
All right, and Linda, the expo, so to speak, that's on, I believe, day 2 of early voting. You believe that this will also help to deal with some of the confusion that might be out there around polling places?
Well, yes, we will have at each location, we'll have maps that show the precinct locations and where the polling places are. And then we'll have in a notebook, we'll have detailed precinct maps. So we'll have lots of information out there to help voters.
All right. And Ian alluded to this. The Election Commission is a busy place on several fronts, the most immediate being the upcoming August big ballot, and then the November general elections behind that will close out this election year. And this will be the last election for the touchscreen machines without a paper trail. And the new updated touchscreens with the paper trail make their debut with the November ballot. And that will be partnered in November, not in August, but in November, with a hand-marked paper ballot option for voters. So in this transition, Linda, you have said there there are concerns about the last of three servers the Election Commission has been using for quite a while, specifically that server had problems in the May elections and could have problems with the August ballot. What's the plan if that server acts up or creates some problems in August?
Well, worst case scenario, if, the votes are not lost, the machines are being tested and uploaded now, and we feel confident that they will capture the votes accurately. Worst case scenario, if the server decides it's not going to accept the cards, tabulate them, we can do it manually by hand. It'll take a considerable amount of time, but no votes will be lost. So we will know how voters voted, and we'll be able to report that.
And meanwhile, you have some of the hardware for the new system for November that has already started to arrive and is here. Is any of that new technology, which is not seen by voters, but is back of the house, for lack of a better term, is any of that usable to augment the current system for the August 4th election night?
Well, yes and no. We are using the new system, as we have for several years, for the paper absentees. We're using it for voters who are in nursing homes, but the two systems are not really compatible. So early voting and election day, we'll be using our old equipment, and that's for the last time.
Mm-hmm. Ian, your organization works not only on events like the Early Voting Expo, but it also it is on the ground, really going hand to hand and talking to voters and reaching out to them, not only urging them to participate, but also hearing from them on their concerns. Do you have any idea through that contact where voters are on this choice in November between a new voting system and the hand-marked paper ballots?
Go out to speak with people during canvassing. Our emphasis is on either getting them registered to vote or encouraging them to show up to vote in the next election, which is this August, with early voting starting July 15th. To be honest, the new voting machines haven't really come up from the people that we've talked to while we've been out canvassing. Like I said, our focus from the Voter Alliance has been on registering people to vote and encouraging them to show up to the polls. And if they don't understand their government, encouraging them to attend our Shelby County Voter Alliance Voter Academy, which explains a lot of how our local government operates.
So you also go for a basic understanding of who you're electing and what their jobs are once the election is over with the academy.
Yes, sir. Now, once we do have the new voting machines secured and in place for November, the Shelby County Voter Alliance is going to do a lunch and learn session about the new voting machines and walk the voting public through the process of how to use them. So that's how we'll be participating with the rollout for the November election with the new voting machine.
Right. And Linda, going back to you, did I hear correctly that you will have the new machines and the new technology on display at the Early Voting Expo?
Yes, voters will have the opportunity to try out the new machines by voting for some of their favorite things. They pick the favorite breed of dog, that sort of thing. So yes, that will be on display at each early voting location for the Voter Ready Expo.
Mm-hmm. A system that offers voters the option of paper ballots that they mark and run through a scanner and into a secure ballot box. How do you have that type of ballot with the relevant district races for a voter earlier election day who says that I don't want to use any kind of machine, I want a paper ballot that I mark with a pen or a pencil? Is there do you have those ballots already printed out with the district races, or do you have some kind of on-demand printing software or hardware for that?
Well, first, I want to remind all voters that the hand-marked paper ballot is not an option for the August election. But in November, they will be able to, if you want to fill out a ballot by hand, to get a paper ballot. Ideally, that would be a ballot on demand printer at each early voting location, but we may have some supply chain problems in getting all of the ballot printers in time, in which case we will have pre-printed ballots with the correct precinct and split. So a voter will have the option of voting on a hand-marked paper ballot. Of course, the touch screens, the ballot marking devices, of course, have every ballot style for every precinct.
Mm-hmm. And again, this option of paper ballots is for the November ballot. It is not for this upcoming election. You also have, and this is kind of a behind the scenes thing, but you have new poll books. And those are the laptops at each polling place that is used to verify that a voter is a voter and has not voted that particular election ballot before, correct?
Yes, we will have new poll books in November. Our old poll books are actually older than our voting machines, and they are way past end of life.
Okay, all right. Ian, tell me where you think voters are coming up on this big ballot, because I'm reminded here that we have 583,000 voters in the county, and that most of them did not vote in the May primaries. So, are there a lot of people out there unaware that this is an election year?
Across a few people who don't think or who didn't think there were any other elections for this year. And our concentration in the Voter Alliance has also been on people who voted, who have a habit of voting for the president, but don't show up for the midterm elections. Now, having said all of that, the people that we have talked to that are registered voters and do have a habit of participating in our elections seem to have a great deal of excitement around the district attorney's race this go round. So I think that's going to be a main driver to get people out to the polls here in Shelby County.
Right. And in working to increase voter participation, do you expect like one big jump in overall voter turnout, or is this a small numbers over a long period of time type game?
Have a long-term outlook when it comes to increasing the people who participate in our elections here in Shelby County. So we know we have an uphill battle. We're looking at trying to make incremental increases with each election cycle. So the number of people that we get to come out and vote to show up at the polls, as opposed to the last mid-cycle vote, we hope it'll be higher. And for the next election in 2024, we hope to increase further the number of people who are showing up at the polls, especially those who don't normally show up to vote.
Right. And as we've mentioned, 2023 is not an off election year. There are city elections, that is in October. At this point, Linda, this election cycle, whether it's every 4 years or every 8 years with the judicial races, shows this is about a 25 to 30% turnout in the last 3 elections by both cycles. Is this a number that can vary based on how excited voters are with particular races on the ballot, or is that a pretty safe assumption?
Well, we've planned for a slightly higher turnout than past 3 elections, just because we do see a lot of interest in several of the races. And that's what drives voters to the polls. If they have an interest in a race and they think their vote will make a difference, that's what brings them out to vote. Right.
And I had one final question about the compromise, if you will, that the county commission approved when they approved the funding for the new voting system. You wanted to have the new voting system for the August elections. The Election Commission said, no, we're going to go for funding this for November. And part of the compromise that was agreed on earlier was the option of paper ballots. So does this compromise end the litigation that was in court over who funds the new voting system and who picks the new voting system, or is that still in the courts?
No, as part of the compromise, we did withdraw the lawsuit. So we're very happy to have that behind us, and we're looking forward to having the equipment in November.
Okay. All right. Ian, a final point with you. Your take on how excited voters get and therefore turn out, depending on what races that they perceive to be major races or races that they're interested in.
Well, as I said, as we've been out canvassing, there seems to be a great deal of interest in the district attorney's race. Of course, there's always interest in the mayor's race. And part of our mission at the Shelby County Voter Alliance is voter education. So we've also been trying to educate the people that we had the ability to talk to about the judge races, because people don't know those judge races don't come up but every 8 years. So the decisions that we make now will have a long-term impact here in Shelby County. And also what I've been telling people is that my job is just to get you to show up to vote. I don't care how you vote or what your passions are, but we have one more election coming up. So I want you to remember the reasons that you voted today in December. So remember in December.
All right. Linda, a point off of what Ian talked about. Some people have talked about the judicial races maybe need to be separated and put on a different ballot. And that's not something the Election Commission would decide. That would be something by state law that would have to deal with that. But would breaking up this big ballot, do you think, would that be an advantage in terms of voter participation?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. I will say that it is a very long ballot. I mean, those people who have requested absentee ballots will be getting 2 17-inch pages with races front and back of both of them. So it's a very long ballot. And my experience with very long ballots has been that there's a lot of drop off on page 2. So I do hope everyone comes out and votes. And if the legislature decided to separate it, it might, but it would also dramatically increase the cost to have another election. I mean, it's a countywide election in Shelby County is a little over $2 million. So that's a decision I guess they're going to have.
Mm-hmm. And Ian, to go back to you very quickly, you said remember why you voted in December. Actually, it's remember why you voted in November, right?
Yes, that is right. I'm a little nervous talking to you, Bill. You're such a celebrity.
No. I haven't been on a television show, Ian, and you have. So, at any rate, that's
I watch you on Channel 10 all the time. Don't say that.
All right. Well, you got me there. At any rate, we've been talking with Shelby County Elections Administrator Linda Phillips and Ian Randolph of the Shelby County Voter Alliance. I'm Bill Drees, and this has been On the Record.